Hollow Knight isn't just a game, it's the ruler we use to measure the entire Metroidvania genre. The precise combat, the interconnected level design, the atmosphere, everything there operates at a very high technical level. If you, just like me, have already explored every corner of Hallownest, mastered all the bosses, and feel that post-credits void, this list is for you. I'm Matthew, and today I bring you 10 new Metroidvanias that you need to know. Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement is a 2.5D Metroidvania set in a dark and immersive 16th century England, bringing a gothic atmosphere that immediately reminds me of that classic and engaging vibe that Hollow Knight delivered. The game takes place in a world haunted by an ethereal castle, controlled by the demon lord Illyia, whose terrifying shadow threatens the entire region. The story revolves around two protagonists, Leonard Brandon and Alexander Keitler, who are forced to team up to defeat this demonic threat and rid the land of the darkness dominating the continent. For me, this premise already brings an epic and mystery-filled tone that gets any fan of Metroidvania games pretty excited to explore everything the game offers. What really caught my attention in The Scarlet Engagement is the combat system called the Epiphany combat system. It promises to offer unique attacks and powerful abilities that make combat strategic and full of possibilities. The gameplay encourages the discovery of new moves and the creation of combos that give a fluid and intense feeling of combat, something that manages to match the playstyle of Hollow Knight fans who love to master the controls and feel the impact in every strike landed. Additionally, the game allows you to play simultaneously with both main characters, which adds a layer of tactical depth during battles and exploration. One point I enthusiastically highlight is the map, the largest ever created in the Bloodstained series, offering a vastness of environments to explore at different times of the day, which influences not only the visual atmosphere but also the gameplay and interaction with the world. This time, Dynamic makes the setting alive and constantly changing, making each game session potentially reveal something new or challenge the player in a different way. For those who enjoy the Metroidvania style, the promise of an extensive and dense setting like this is a real treat for the sense of adventure and Another aspect that raised my expectations is the diverse possibilities for customization, crafting, and cooking in the game. Throughout the journey, it's possible to create equipment, cook, and adjust the character's appearance, adding a personal and strategic touch to the gameplay. This not only makes the game more immersive, but also brings a richer experience for those who like to modulate their playstyle and character's appearance, something that reminds me of the freedom we found in Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night, but now with new layers that reinforce personalization. In the narrative aspect, the game offers a dark story with well-developed allies and enemies, set in a universe that can be enjoyed by both new players without even knowing previous titles in the franchise, and by longtime fans who will catch deep connections to the lore. This, for me, is a great differential, because the plot promises to be much more than just a backdrop, becoming a rich and engaging experience that grips you from beginning to end. Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement seems like an unmissable invitation for anyone who loved Hollow Knight. It not only brings many of the elements that define this genre, like challenging combat, exploration, and a unique atmosphere, but also adds its own innovations that refresh the formula, like the two-character system, the Epiphany combat, and the 16th century Gothic setting. For any Metroidvania fan looking for a new saga to get lost in, this adventure promises to be a great starting point or continuation, with a personal tone that left me very eager to play and share this experience. Mira and the Legend of the Djinns is a 2D pixel art Metroidvania that caught my attention precisely because of its different cultural inspiration. It dives deep into Moroccan and Amazigh mythology and traditions. The game follows Yuba, a treasure hunter, who finds Mira, a mysterious djinn with amnesia, in an ancient necropolis. Together, they form a spiritual bond to recover Mira's memory and uncover the secrets of a devastated world, something that gives the game both a mystical tone and one full of discoveries, which is perfect for fans of narratives rich in setting and culture. The combat in Mira seems very fluid and diverse to me, with a system that encourages experimentation and adaptation. The player can switch between weapons and elemental modes, solar, celestial, infernal, and lunar, which expands strategies during battles. This mechanic recalls the dynamism and depth I like in more modern Metroidvanias, real invitations to master combos in different styles as the challenge changes, reinforcing the hack and slash aspect with a lot of style. One of the things that excites me most is the map design, a true invitation to exploration with a vast world inspired by the richness of the Amazgesh ocean desert, including ancient ruins, artifacts, and hidden secrets. The variation between environments helps those who enjoy that typical progression of the genre, where the world opens up little by little and allows the game to be not just platforming and combat, but also investigation and puzzle solving, all tied together in the beautiful pixel art that gives it a unique and charming look. Classic Metroidvania movement is also present with dash, double jump, and air dash. But what I really liked was the focus on building stylish and agile combat, with various tools and abilities to unlock. This ensures the gameplay doesn't get monotonous and always has a touch of novelty, which is essential to keep the player connected and interested until the end of the adventure. Besides the gameplay, Mira's plot carries a special appeal for those who like mythological stories loaded with symbolism. The relationship between Yuba and Mira develops as they face mutant enemies and corrupted spirits, as well as discovering truths about the dark past of the world they inhabit. For me, this brings an emotional and immersive layer that differentiates the game from other options in the genre. Mira and the Legend of the Djinns is clearly a work of love for the Metroidvania genre, but with that, it also gains its own personality thanks to its strong cultural identity and artistic style. If you like Hollow Knight, you'll find here not only the exploration and combat that make this genre so addictive, but also a narrative and aesthetic that suggest a new experience, rich in symbolism and depth. For those who like Metroidvanias that challenge and enchant at the same time, Mira is a name to keep an eye on and calmly discover every mystery of that fantastic universe. Sisyphus Is, developed by Moriguma, is a very creative Metroidvania with a vibe that mixes puzzle and fast-paced action, and inspired by the mythology of Sisyphus. The protagonist is a dung beetle, who found his tragic fate upon being condemned by Zeus to roll a ball of dung to the top of Mount Olympus before sunset, or else repeat his task eternally. The premise is already funny and different, bringing a light and fun tone that contrasts well with the challenge the game proposes. A race against time that is both frantic and strategic. The game stands out for its apparent simplicity, but which hides a tactical depth in movements and obstacle solving. The system requires the player to learn little movement tricks to beat the challenges in under 60 seconds, which creates constant tension and a lot of incentive for repetition, typical of addictive Metroidvania mechanics. I think this combination of player knowledge and skill is a perfect recipe for those who like to get the most out of every attempt. That type of game you come back to several times, trying to improve your time and performance. Visually, Sisyphus Is has a charming pixel art style, simultaneously simple and expressive, which seemed perfect to me for creating a fun and somewhat absurd world, matching the humor of the concept very well. The game's art, the responsibility of Gianna Marcato and Luigi Francisco, gives personality to the main character and the environments of Mount Olympus, creating an almost cartoonish setting that entertains and motivates the player, even in the face of how repetitive the plot could be. The narrative, despite being simple, carries this irony and mythological satire that gives the game a very special charm. Instead of an epic drama, we have a light and even funny scenario, where the absurdity of eternal punishment comes to life in a race against the clock that demands quick thinking and precise movements. For those who enjoy history and myths, but also like the lightness and challenge of indie games, this approach seems to me a very well-achieved balance. What makes me like it even more is that, despite being a fast and apparently simple game, it has a knowledge-vania layer. That is, you learn tricks and secrets that really change the way you face challenges, which opens up space for different playstyles and for the feeling of constant evolution. This reminds me of the satisfaction I get in games that mix racing against time with exploration and learning the map and controls. For fans of the Metroidvania style who like games with high replayability, Sisyphus Is is a title that deserves to be tried, especially if you like quick challenges and puzzles integrated into the action. The combination of humor, fast pace, and knowledge to be discovered creates a personal and engaging experience that breaks the traditional mold of the genre. An indie bet that stands out for its unique concept and intelligent execution, perfect for those looking for something different and fun within the Metroidvania universe. Mio Memories in Orbit is a Metroidvania that caught my attention right away with its stunning visuals and unique sci-fi setting. In it, you play as Mio, an agile android who awakens on a gigantic spaceship called the Vessel, which is floating adrift on a mysterious planet. The ship is overrun by rogue machines and lush vegetation that is starting to take over the technological scenery, creating an impressive visual contrast that hooked me from the very first moment. The feeling I got was that of entering a living work of art, full of details and a poetic atmosphere that goes far beyond simple combat and exploration. Mio's gameplay surprises me with its fluidity and the diversity of abilities the character can unlock, like climbing walls, gliding through the air with a controlled slide, using a grappling hook to move quickly, and even creating clones to attack enemies from alternative angles. All this mobility makes exploration a very dynamic and engaging experience, almost as if you were dancing through the environments with a mix of precision, rhythm, and timing. For a Metroidvania fan, this brings that special spice that differentiates a good game from a memorable experience. The game's narrative is delicate and mysterious, telling the story of the ship Vessel, its AI guardians called Pearls who have stopped working, and Mio's mission to uncover the secrets behind this collapse and their own origin. This existential layer about consciousness, identity, and memory brought me a somewhat philosophical vibe, which lends an emotional depth that isn't so common in the genre. This more contemplative side makes going from combat to narrative discoveries a more personal and impactful journey. The combat in Mio is challenging, with over 30 different types of robotic enemies and 15 formidable guardian bosses, each requiring different strategies and smart use of unlocked abilities. The protagonist's varied arsenal allows the player to customize their combat style, adding various modifications that increase personalization and reinforce mastery of battles and exploration. It's very satisfying to think about and experiment with the best combinations to overcome the challenges. Another point I really liked is the inspired art direction, which combines visual elements from science fiction, comics, anime, and paintings, along with an engaging soundtrack featuring lo-fi beats and choral melodies. This creates a sensory experience that stands out visually among Metroidvanias and increases immersion in Mio's journey. Just looking and listening already makes you want to spend more time exploring. For those who loved Hollow Knight, Mio Memories in Orbit is a sure bet to capture that same mix of intense exploration, refined combat, and a sensitive story wrapped in an impressive visual and sound atmosphere. The available demo already promises this rich experience and promises to deliver a Metroidvania with soul, where every small victory has weight and meaning. It's well worth embarking on this universe and letting yourself get involved in this journey of discovery and memory. Fatal Claw is a 2D Metroidvania that immediately caught my attention for its unique premise. You play as Keisha, a cat who was resurrected to explore a mysterious and hostile underworld full of infected enemies and survivors to help. The setting brings a mix of dark fantasy with modern elements, where ancient civilizations and technology mix to create a scenario full of mysteries and challenges. For me, this mix creates a heavy atmosphere that makes you want to uncover every corner of that underworld while fighting for survival. The combat in Fatal Claw is where the game shines. Keisha uses different claws that allow for various forms of attack, and the gameplay emphasizes a fluidity that strongly recalls what Metroidvania fans love. Fast movements, combos, and a real sense of impact with every blow. Furthermore, the game allows you to absorb powers from defeated enemies, which brings an evolution system that made me want to experiment with different styles during the journey. This reminds me a lot of that satisfaction of dominance we had in Hollow Knight, where each enemy and ability demands attention and strategy. Another point I really liked is that the game isn't linear, and exploration is encouraged with multiple paths and varied endings. This brings a replay component that I value a lot, as each choice and direction taken can lead to different consequences and change how the surrounding world reacts. After the ending, it's still possible to continue exploring the world with the powers you acquired, which greatly increases the game's longevity. Visually, Fatal Claw impresses me with its vibrant and detailed 2D style, which blends fluid animations and a character design that manages to be both captivating and full of personality. The art has a cartoonish tone, almost like an animated cartoon, but this doesn't diminish the sense of mystery and tension that the gameplay creates at all. It's like the perfect combination to make everything visually appealing without losing immersion. The story follows Keisha's quest to find the key that unlocks the path to the surface. During the journey, you meet other survivors and face the challenges of an infected world, and this dark narrative, though simple, builds a backdrop that greatly motivates the actions and progress in the game. For me, this is enough to keep my attention, as the main focus is on the exploration and combat experience. If you're a Metroidvania fan and liked the fluidity and atmosphere of Hollow Knight, Fatal Claw is a game well worth your attention. It delivers solid combat, deep exploration with multiple routes, and a visual style that manages to be vibrant and dark at the same tempo. I'm very excited about the release and believe it will be an incredible experience for those looking for a challenging and stylish adventure in this genre.
And even when the stars seem far away, I can't be blinded by the dark.
Sliding Hero is a top-down Metroidvania that caught me by surprise with its innovative movement mechanic. You only move by sliding in a single direction until you hit something, which turns every step into a strategic puzzle. The game is set in a dark 18th century Venetian village, inspired by the Carnival of Venice, where you control Luca Sicamoro, a military man from the Serenissima trapped in this labyrinth of mysteries and dangers. This gothic and masked setting creates an atmosphere of tension and fascination that reminded me of the melancholy world of Hollow Knight, but with a touch of historical elegance that makes exploration even more intriguing. What really sets Sliding Hero apart is the momentum-based puzzle combat system, where sliding not only serves to navigate, but also to attack enemies and activate environmental traps. You use weapons and abilities that add layers, like changing direction in mid-air or blocking blows, requiring precise planning to avoid smashing into the wrong wall. For me, this chaotic fluidity brings a unique adrenaline rush, similar to the precision required in Hollow Knight's combat, but with a greater focus on physics and timing that makes each encounter feel like a deadly dance. Exploration here is the heart of the game, with an interconnected world full of hidden rooms, locked doors, and shortcuts that only reveal themselves with new unlocked abilities. The map is not linear, encouraging smart backtracking to access previously inaccessible areas, and the room design varies between Sokoban-inspired puzzles, light RPG combat, and environmental riddles. I love how this captures the Metroidvania essence of gradual progression, where every discovery gives that feeling of, now I understand the larger world. Sliding Hero impresses with its hand-drawn pixel art, which mixes 18th century elegance with unsettling animations and carnival masks, creating a vibrant and slightly disturbing style. The characters have detailed expressions in dialogues, contrasting with the agile sprites in gameplay, which adds personality without overwhelming. This art transports me to a living setting where the fast movement of the slide harmonizes perfectly with the detailed environments. The narrative follows Luca in his escape from the village, uncovering secrets through interactions with eccentric characters and revelations about what truly traps him there. It's a story of mystery and betrayal, with touches of dark fantasy that unfolds organically during exploration without boring pauses. For those who like plots that build up slowly, this brings an emotional immersion that complements the mechanical challenges in a subtle and captivating way. If you loved Hollow Knight for its deep exploration and engaging atmosphere, Sliding Hero is an indie gem that refreshes the genre with its unique slide and creative puzzles. The demo already shows the potential for speedrunning and high replayability, and I can hardly wait for the full release. It's the kind of Metroidvania that challenges your mind and movements in a personal and addictive way, perfect for those seeking innovation in the classic. Randomice is a combat-free Metroidvania that won me over with its fresh and creative approach, focusing purely on exploration and route planning in a world that changes with every playthrough. You play as a little mouse trying to escape a huge labyrinthine house, full of rooms filled with mysteries and environmental hazards. What makes it unique is the item randomization system. Upgrades like fireworks to blow up obstacles or a magnet to stick to metal surfaces appear in different orders every time, forcing you to adapt and rethink paths. For me, this mechanic brings a vibe of constant discovery that recalls the organic progression of Hollow Knight, but without the fights, just the pure joy of navigating a home that turns into an unpredictable playground. Randomice's gameplay revolves around this clever randomization, where each run is a compact Metroid-like experience. You collect random items to unlock new areas, like reaching a kitchen sink with a magnetic hook or breaking open a glass door with a rocket. With no enemies to fight, the focus is on mentally planning the map, constantly updating what's accessible with your current tools to optimize the path and collect exit keys. I love how this turns exploration into a living puzzle, encouraging quick 20-30-minute runs after the first longer playthroughs, with a sense of mastery that grows with each attempt. The house world is the highlight here, with varied handcrafted rooms like the baby's room, the workshop, or the bathroom, which can be shuffled in advanced challenges, creating unexpected connections between them. This procedurality doesn't sacrifice design. Each room is rich in interactive details and secrets, inviting creative backtracking to access blocked areas in new ways. For those who enjoy the deep interconnection of maps in Hollow Knight, Randomice offers that same satisfaction of connecting the dots, but with the thrill that the layout can change, making each exploration a personalized adventure full of surprises. The movement abilities in Randomice are fun and varied, with upgrades that give the mouse unique tools like a lighter to light candles, or explosives to open paths, all fluidly integrated into the 2D platforming. The control is precise and responsive, allowing for experiments ranging from simple jumps to elaborate crossings, and the pace encourages both speed runs and relaxed exploration. This emphasis on adapting to random tools makes me feel like a true explorer improvising, adding a strategic layer that refreshes the genre without overcomplicating it. Narratively, The game has a 12-20-hour campaign that adds extra objectives in each run, revealing the story of the house and its residents through hilarious dialogues with eccentric mice like Grandpa or random characters who can appear in unusual places. These encounters bring humor and depth, helping to understand what's happening in the home and how to truly escape, with a light and captivating tone that unfolds organically. For me, this creates subtle emotional bonds, making the runs not just mechanical, but part of a larger journey. If you loved Hollow Knight for its immersive exploration and sense of progress, Randomice is an indie pearl that innovates on the Metroidvania with its combat-free randomization, promising infinite replayability and a charming watercolor-style world. The demo already shows the potential for dozens of addictive runs, and with options like shuffling NPCs or even portals and wall holes, it's perfect for those seeking mental challenges and lighthearted discoveries. Rune Fencer Illyia is a Metroidvania that captivated me right away with its mix of intense action and deep exploration, set on a cursed island full of ruins from a fallen kingdom. You control Illyia, a low-class novice runist who wakes up alone after an airship crash, separated from her twin sister Lily, an elite runist. The journey is about rescuing her while uncovering the secrets of this mysterious world, full of dangers and wonders, with an atmosphere that balances the somber and the enchanting. For me, this premise brings a vibe of personal and emotional adventure that recalls the isolation and quest of Hollow Knight, but with a touch of magical fantasy that makes everything more vibrant. The combat in Rune Fencer Illyia is what excited me the most, with a rune stealing system that allows you to absorb abilities from enemies using the energy strike, creating over 80 combinations of spells and runic weapons. You can transform a simple strike into something powerful, like aerial combos or scythe attacks, and even use runes to solve puzzles or explore new paths. This mechanic of constant adaptation gives a sense of creativity and mastery that I love, similar to the ability progression in Hollow Knight, but with a focus on experimentation that makes each battle unique and strategic. Exploration is the heart of the game, with a massive, interconnected world that encourages backtracking to access areas blocked by new runes, like breaking weak floors or walking on ceilings. There are secrets everywhere, from hidden items to side quests with eccentric characters, and the map reveals itself little by little, revealing the beauty of the cursed ruins and forests. For those who enjoy that satisfaction of mapping everything manually, like in Hollow Knight, this promises hours of organic discovery and rewards that are worth every slip-up. The movement abilities based on runic sigils add incredible layers to the platforming, like the gravity sigil to reverse direction, or the space sigil to run on water and explosive dashes. There's also the time sigil to pause enemies, which turns dangerous crossings into moments of pure genius. I can imagine myself using these tools to navigate unstable platforms or escape traps, creating fluid and responsive gameplay that elevates the Metroidvania genre to another level of tactical fun. Narratively, the game shines with adorable characters and a captivating story about the sisters Illyia and Lily, full of lighthearted dialogues and revelations that build the lore of the Fallen Kingdom through interactions, cooking items, and mini-games like fishing. Encounters with allies like a mimetic adventurer bring humor and depth, making the world alive and emotional. For me, this adds a personal layer that goes beyond the action, focusing on the family bond and overcoming adversity, which makes me root for Illyia's journey in a very intimate way. If you loved Hollow Knight for its immersive exploration, refined combat, and unique atmosphere, Rune Fencer Illyia is an indie work that captures that spirit while innovating with stolen runes and a magical world full of surprises. Developed by a small team with evident passion, The game promises an experience of over 20 hours of fun challenges and discoveries, with a demo that already shows the potential for speedruns and replays. It's the kind of Metroidvania that makes me eager to dive in and uncover every rune.
On RNG, because you have to get it trapped with certain attacks that take a really long time. That way you can damage it as much as possible without it needing to enter the second phase. Sometimes, though, it's actually slower. Like, you can get a run. Like, I think my best time I've ever done of that boss, we entered the second phase. It's not immediately faster for it to skip the second phase, even though the second phase is very slow. And it's because in order to skip the second phase, you need to be getting slower attack.
Duil is a dark Metroidvania with roguelite elements that got me with its dark fantasy atmosphere and moral choices that truly impact the world around, set in the fractured world of Target, where dimensions intertwine in a chaos of sins and redemptions. You play as Duil, a lost soul trapped between realities, haunted by past decisions, and in search of salvation while navigating cursed lands full of magical relics and nocturnal creatures. This premise of a tormented protagonist and an unstable environment creates a sense of urgency and mystery that reminded me of the existential void of Hollow Knight, but with a greater focus on ethical dilemmas that shape the journey's destiny, making every step a personal reflection on mercy or punishment. The combat in Duil is intense and fluid, inspired by games like Dead Cells, where you collect up to 5 types of abilities per run, including basic attacks and lethal magic, to create devastating combos against mutant enemies and relentless bosses. You can master deadly magic, like spells that summon shadows or elemental rays, and the system encourages experimentation to adapt to threats, with precise timing that gives that adrenaline rush of fast and rewarding fights. For me, this mechanic of absorbing and mixing powers brings a strategic depth that elevates the genre, similar to the weapon mastery in Hollow Knight, but with a more frantic pace that makes me come back to perfect every encounter. Exploration is what excites me the most, with large, interconnected maps that reveal themselves through backtracking and upgrades, allowing access to previously unreachable areas in parallel dimensions full of secrets and relics that alter the course of the story. The world of Target is vast, with varied biomes from dark forests to dimensional ruins, and the roguelite progression means that, even in death, you retain most items, creating a sense of constant advancement without being too frustrating. I love how this captures the Metroidvania essence of gradual discovery, encouraging multiple runs to uncover hidden paths and collect artifacts that enrich the lore. The movement abilities in Duil add incredible layers to the platforming, with dimensional dashes, double jumps, and magical teleports that allow you to navigate unstable platforms or escape traps in real time, all integrated with combat for smooth transitions between exploration and action. You can use relics to jump realities or summon portals, which turns dangerous crossings into creative combo opportunities. This fluidity transports me to moments of pure agility, reminiscent of the mobility upgrades in Hollow Knight, but with a roguelite twist that makes each run a unique variation of speed and precision. Narratively, Duil shines with moral choices that aren't just binary, but branch the world. Opting for mercy gains virtue and unexpected allies, while punishing the wicked brings dark rewards and more aggressive paths, influencing dialogues, events, and the story's ending. The characters, from wandering souls to dimensional entities, are deep and reactive to your decisions, adding an emotional layer that humanizes the chaos of Target. For me, this creates a personal connection with Duil, as if his own past choices echo in the journey, making the narrative an intimate reflection on redemption amidst the darkness. If you loved Hollow Knight for its immersive exploration, refined combat, and melancholy-filled atmosphere, Duil is an indie bet that fuses that with dynamic roguelite and impactful choices, promising a 15-20 hour experience full of replayability and surprises in a stunning pixel art world. The trailer and demo already show the potential for moral speedruns and custom builds, and I'm eager to dive into this lost soul and see how my decisions shape destiny. It's the kind of Metroidvania that refreshes the genre with ethical depth and addictive action, perfect for fans looking for something new and dark. Crowsworn is a Metroidvania that has had me excited since its announcement, with a dark and intense vibe that perfectly captures the spirit of exploration and challenge of Hollow Knight, but with touches of Bloodborne and Devil May Cry that add a more aggressive and stylized pace. The game is set in Fear, Andal, a fallen kingdom plagued by a mysterious curse that has turned the world into a labyrinth of monsters and dark ruins. You control a mysterious protagonist, dressed as a plague doctor, who wakes up in a coffin suffering from amnesia and must navigate this hostile universe to recover memories and uncover the origin of the plague. For me, this premise of a lone hero in a decadent world brings that same feeling of isolation and discovery that so marked Hollow Knight, but with a layer of gothic horror that makes everything more oppressive and captivating. The combat in Crowsworn is what catches my attention the most, with a fluid and responsive system that uses a scythe for fast and precise melee attacks, dual pistols for ranged fire, and Corvian magical powers that demand management of an energy called Malice. You recharge Malice by attacking with the scythe, which encourages an aggressive style of aerial combos and cinematic sequences inspired by Devil May Cry, while the Souls-like difficulty from Bloodborne ensures that every encounter is a test of reflexes and strategy. I love how this creates a sense of empowerment, similar to the mastery of abilities in Hollow Knight, but with more emphasis on mobility during fights, making enemies and bosses a constant threat that demands immediate adaptation. Exploration here is vast and interconnected, with a giant world full of varied biomes, from abandoned cities to cursed forests, where backtracking is essential to access areas blocked by new abilities. The design encourages the discovery of secrets, side quests, and over 120 unique enemies, culminating in 30 epic boss battles that test everything you've learned. For those who enjoy mapping the unknown as in Hollow Knight, Crowsworn promises that gradual reward of, now I can go there, with a non-linear map that rewards curiosity and persistence without being too frustrating. The movement abilities elevate the platforming to another level, with dashes, double jumps, wall clings, and downward attacks that flow naturally into combat, allowing for creative crossings over unstable platforms or escapes from environmental traps. The Corvian powers add magical layers like summons or explosions that alter the scenery, and the precise control makes you feel like a badass when overcoming challenges that seemed impossible. This integration reminds me of the dash evolution in Hollow Knight, but with a focus on aerial combos that gives greater freedom to experiment and master the space. Narratively, Crowsworn delivers a Souls-like story, with lore revealed through items, enigmatic dialogues, and animated cinematics that build the mystery of the curse and the protagonist's amnesia. Eccentric characters and survivors scattered throughout the kingdom add emotional depth, with choices that impact the world in subtle ways, creating a narrative of loss and redemption that unfolds organically during exploration. For me, this brings a personal immersion, where the emptiness of fear, Andal echoes the hero's internal reflections, making the journey not just an adventure, but an introspective quest full of melancholy. If you loved Hollow Knight for its deep exploration, challenging combat, and gothic atmosphere, Crowsworn is an indie work that honors those roots while innovating with Souls-like mechanics and a living world of monsters and secrets, promising over 20 hours of main content plus DLCs and a boss rush mode.